asking 5,000 for it or something.
2,500.
2,500.
2,500?
Yeah, that's like 3 times of what I'm paying you right now, right?
Yeah.
But that's a nice tank. Have you seen it? It's like 15 feet.
Yeah.
He has a channel.
His channel?
The
YouTube channel.
YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Just text me your username. I will subscribe to your channel.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Here's 580.
580?
I've already sent you the...
You
145.
take a screenshot.
They are gorgeous, mate. Wow.
Yep.
I'll show you just now. When they're in the tank, you can get a nice video on the feed.
Yeah. Anything in the tank, you can put a nice video to upload in the YouTube channel.
Yeah, buddy, you'll see it in a couple of days. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Malik's Water Garden. Today's going to be a really cool video because I got new fish. I actually got a new group of Altum angels. You guys probably seen the unboxing video for these guys a few months back. These guys actually been in the fish room for about 2.5 months now. That's how long I like to quarantine. So if you haven't seen the unboxing video for these guys, as well as my quarantine videos, highly recommend checking those out. I'll put the quarantine video link up here, so check that out before you watch the rest of this video, because you really need to watch the quarantine procedures that I go through so you understand why these type of videos are a little bit delayed. Now, having said that, I do have my Altum angels now past quarantine, and they are in this display tank. We will be seeing them in the video. They are hiding behind me. There's a group of 10 in here, and they are acclimatized to my tap water. Having said that, my tap water is moderately soft. It's not hard or soft. I wouldn't call it soft. I wouldn't actually call it hard either. It's 163 parts per million, and the general hardness is about 4, and the carbonate hardness is also about 4. But with using a bit of oak leaves and stuff like that, I can actually bring the hardness and the pH down, and so it makes it easier for these guys to acclimatize and live in our water well. Now, having said that, they are not regular fish, and if you are not an experienced fish keeper, I highly recommend not spending your money. These guys cost about $50 each. These fish are actually for sale. They are hiding behind me, so you can't actually see them, but I'll put some B-roll footage throughout the video so you can see the fish while I talk about them. But having said that, they are an advanced fish. So if you're not an experienced fish keeper, do not buy these fish because you are wasting your money. They do die quite easily, and they cannot tolerate excessive anything, even a drop. Like if you're moving them, like I don't recommend netting them. Netting them is quite detrimental for them, especially when they've just come in, and if you are getting moved. Like for example, if you just picked them up today and you brought them home, do not do the plop and drop. Your fish will most likely end up getting hurt, and they will not make it after that, especially if you don't have the right environment. So we're going to be looking at that in the video, and so let's look at that next. The right environment for these guys, especially for the Altums that I have, which are from Rio Atabapo, these guys require a low pH. So they come from about 4.0 to about 6.2 pH. Anything higher than that, it's really not suited for these guys. And especially if they just came in from the wild, if you did not acclimatize them, they will end up passing away. Now, a lot of people think they have RO and that the RO should fix the problem, but it's not the RO that really is the issue. It's the ppm of the water plus the hardness as well as the pH. So these 3 things factor in. So when the fish comes in, if the fish is already stressed and being transported and put in like improper water at the facility that they were kept in or held in for the last 2-3 weeks, and they was barely holding on, comes to your facility, gets netted, and you bring it home, you plop and drop it into the tank, most of the time they will end up falling to their side, especially if they're larger, and they will probably not get up. Now, the fish we picked up, which are not in this facility, they're actually at my friend's facility. We picked up 10 large ones. I'll put some beautiful footage of us picking that up like last week. So they're about that big. So these guys are 2 years old and they're this big. They get large. They get even larger. So they require large aquariums as well. So basically what happened was he ended up picking up my friend and myself. We ended up driving an hour and a half out of town to pick up these 10 fish. And they were large fish. And we got the 10 fish. And he brings them home to his house and he puts them in the facility. So I have some discus from his house that are here in my tanks because he didn't have space to hold them. So the largest tank he had ended up giving me all the discus in there. So those guys are actually for sale if anybody's interested. If you are in the Greater Toronto area, we do have some pairs of discus available for sale. Now, having said that, what happened was the fish got injured on his face, and one of the fish out of the 10, and it wasn't healing. So he called me yesterday, and he was like, "What do I do? What do I do?" I said, "You know what? You have RO water, so do like a 25% water change with RO, and put some almond leaves." And the minute he did that, the tannins plus the RO, the lowering of the TDS, the pH probably dropped a little bit, and it started helping the fish, and he started doing better, and the redness went away. So today he's moving about. Guy sends me pictures of the fish. Now, this is what ends up happening. The one I have here, actually, the reason I have that fish is my friend couldn't keep them alive the first time he brought them in, and we didn't know what to do, and he didn't know what to do, so he ended up calling me and told me to come pick up the fish. And I go to his house. By the time I got there, out of like 12 fish that arrived, only like 4 were still swimming. And by the time I brought them home to my house, only like 3 of them were like kind of standing, and 1 was already on the ground. And I netted them to move them to the tank. So all I did was I put the net in, and I picked them up gently with the net, and I moved them into the tank, and 2 of them in that move died. And the other one died shortly after. And the third one had like a lot of fungus and stuff growing on it, and I had to put a lot of low pH, low TDS water, and to save his life. So I'll put some video of him as well. If you do want to name this guy, you can. So comment below and comment a good name for this fish. Also, these guys here, I have 10 of them here. So these guys are acclimatized to Toronto tap water. They are in this tank right now. I just did a 60% water change with aged water. So that's another thing you got to consider. You can't just put tap water into these tanks. These guys don't do well with dechlorinators and all that other stuff. So you got to really think about the health of the fish, and not your comfort or whatever. And you got to really think that the fish, so these guys are out now, and they are swimming about. And you got to think about aging your water and all that stuff. If you are using RO, it's better. I don't recommend keeping these if your source water is above 7.5 pH. Like I'm at the top limit of where these guys could potentially live. Even that is pushing it. And only because they are young specimens, I didn't suffer any losses this time. And I got 10 of them, small ones that are in here that are Rio Artabapo, and 10 large ones that are in my friend's facility that are like not all mine. I'm going to end up getting 6 of them most likely, because he's going to end up taking 2 pairs, and I'm going to get the rest to get 2 pairs potentially out of it. Hopefully 3. Those guys are Rio Orinoco. The other big one I have is also Rio Artabapo. So depending on what river they come from, they are a variant of the original form. So they are potentially a subspecies, or could potentially even be a different species. So we do not want to potentially mix these guys in tanks. So try to get groups, keep groups alive, and if you are not an advanced keeper, don't get them. Now for temperature wise, these guys stay at about 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and you can keep them as high as 90 degrees Fahrenheit, but I don't recommend doing that. I would say keeping them between 82 and about 86 degrees would be the highest. And they can actually tolerate 78, 79 degrees. I've actually had them in the tanks on the back in quarantine for about a month now, and the tanks went down to about 78, 79 degrees, sometimes even 77 degrees, and the fish were eating, doing great, and they were growing. And I got them at about dime size. They've actually grown to about a loony to toonie size right now, and they are quite nice, and the fins are all healed and growing well. And Jason, if you are watching, thank you so much. He's the one who got these fish for me. At dime size, he sold these for me at $40 each. That's what he sells them for. And so these guys, if anybody's interested, I can give you the whole group for $500 or at $60 each fish. I'm probably not gonna sell individuals, so I mean, make an offer, $500. Come pick them up if you're in the Greater Toronto area. They are acclimatized to our tap water, and they are doing great. Now, as for food, a lot of people think feeding frozen food is ideal, but I don't recommend feeding just frozen bloodworms. They do eat frozen bloodworms. I'm not feeding that to my fish. My fish are actually eating Dr. Basilier's biofish food right now. They're eating Ebo Aquaristic brine. So that's like a Placo formula with like 50% protein, and they love that stuff. They're growing well on it. I'm also feeding them tetratropical color granules. I'm feeding them Nutrifin bug bites. Now, none of these are paid advertisements, but if any of these companies are watching, I would like to get your products so that I can review new products and stuff like that. And if anybody else that is a food manufacturer is watching, you guys contact me and let me know. I can try some of your foods out if it is a high quality product. I only feed high quality food. Most of my fish are on dry food, so these guys have been eating dry food since day one. And I started them off on Dr. Basilier's, and they love that stuff. I give them Ebo, they love that. I give them Tetra, they love that. I give them whatever I throw in the tank, they actually eat. So I'll throw some B-roll footage of that stuff as well. And so that's what I can give you guys right now about these fish. There's not much more I can say. So we will be getting an adult group into the fish room. They are actually at my friend's facility. We actually went and picked them up already. So he's actually taking care of them because it's a large group and they need a large tank. So essentially all the fish he had in his large tank ended up at my house in separate tanks because they were all pairs and stuff. They were discus pairs. So I actually ended up having those guys right now holding them. I ended up picking one of those guys up, one of those pairs. So I mean, I'm keeping those right now, but they are also for sale. For the right price, everything is for sale, I would say. Like my friend asked me if I'm going to sell my zebra pegos, and I first said no. But if somebody came and offered me a good price for my adult 17 group of zebra pegos, like $7,000 or something like that, they are just about to breed. I mean, I could sell that to them and go pick up a new group from somebody else and grow them out. It's not a big deal, but it has to be the right price. And I'm not going to sell my fish for any cheaper than what I believe they are worth, and they're worth a lot because they're not just regular fish. They are actually either pairs or breeding groups. So I mean, I gotta say that. Having said that, these guys are Toronto tap water acclimatized group of Altum angels. You cannot find this usually. Like, this is like a rarity, like rarity out of a rarity. Altums are rare to begin with. They're only wild caught. There's not a lot of people that are breeding them yet. And I want to be one of the first people to mass produce these guys. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe, hit that notification so you get updated when the large fish do arrive in the fish room. And I do make an update video. The next video coming up is going to be about the Pseudo-Hemiodon africanos. So you do not want to miss that because those guys are epic. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you on the next video. God bless you all.